What up, nerds, and welcome to another slimy episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 461, recorded Sunday, February 4th, 2024. Tonight we're talking about the winner of the February poll, which was From Beyond. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What's up, man?
What's going on, children?
How we doing, buddy? We're ready to talk about some goop? Talk about some slippery, slimy, pink goop?
Pour some goop.
I know that's your favorite topic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that famous hair metal song.
Slime me, daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe daddy likes being in the dungeon.
Indeed, maybe he does. Next up, calling in from my immediate left, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Third Eye Stains. Just pop right out of there. Bloop.
That third eye's not blind?
No,
I
can see your wildest desires, Bob.
Oh, yeah, and it's
your
slime.
wildest goopy desires.
Yes.
Yeah.
The wetter, the better.
Yeah, I guess.
You
Yeah.
live in a semi-charmed kind of life, my friend.
Yes, baby. Last but not least, joining us for her first time on Straight Chilling, everybody welcome our good friend Jacqueline. What's up, Jacqueline?
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Long time coming.
Very, very good.
Honestly, this is like the crowning achievement of my life. I could not be happier to be
We're going to have to fix that. We're going to have to get you something, some sort of hobbies or something.
something to aspire to, I guess.
You've done way more important things than be on our show, I promise you. We all know that. One of those many awesome things that you do is host a podcast of your own, actually. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, so along with my good friends Hydraberg and John, I host a Cut Above horror review. It's very similar to Straight Chilling. It's a weekly horror review show, very much inspired by y'all, like direct link there, which is partially why I'm so excited to be here with y'all today. You guys have meant a lot to all three of us. I'm only going to speak for myself right now, but I discovered you guys about 4 years ago. Near the start of the pandemic, and it was such a bright spot for me, both to like have a great podcast to listen to, but then also to become a member of your fan community. And I mean, I've become friends with y'all. I've become friends with John and Hydraberg and many others, and so it's more than just a podcast. I talk about it all the time on A Cut Above, and so we just we really look up to you guys, and imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So that's how it kind of started for us. But yeah, we're everywhere.
To the beast.
It was indeed.
We are role models at Straight Chilling. We pride ourselves in that. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Look, we aspire to get more plagiarists all the time. So that's what we... I'm teasing, of course. We're very pleased to have you guys on. Everybody at A Cut Above is part of the family as far as we're concerned.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
That's a very lovely sort of advert for the Slack community. Again, like everybody in there really is like, we're not just people who listen to the show. It is like, it's a group of people who like really care about each other, and we share like, of our lives and our families, and it's not just talking about movies. So if you guys are out there and listening and want to join our awesome ass Slack community, just let us know and we'll send you a link so you can do so.
Yeah, I also can't believe it's only been 4 years.
Yeah.
It feels like you were like 4 years ago. I was like, oh, really? It just feels like a lifetime. A long time since we've been together.
It does feel that way. And, I feel so close to so many of y'all. And I mean, honestly, sometimes the people in this community feel like closer friends that I don't really have real life friends anymore. Like between work and family and stuff, I honestly have like very little social life. And so you guys and the members of the community are very much like strong social ties for me. So it's important. It's important in my life. It's a real thing.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Christianity.
God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And now I'm going to stop being goopy and we can start talking about other things that
this
are
is the appropriate film for goopiness, I can assure you.
Yes. Let's get weird with it. So check out A Cut Above everywhere you get your podcasts. And let's go ahead and jump into some housekeeping real quick. Here is your first reminder. We have a brand new poll currently posted on our Patreon website. It is our March poll. The theme for March is Yes. Welcome to hell?
Yeah. Welcome to hell.
Welcome to hell.
Yes, that is the theme.
It's welcome to hell.
We're all a little on the bubble because we're like 2 months ahead in our thinking for the first time ever.
I know.
We
I
don't
was
know how to do
bragging
this.
to everyone. I can't wait for y'all to see, the problem.
Yeah, I knew you were thinking
in another
April.
month's time.
I knew it.
You'll see it. Yeah. Welcome to hell. The three movies you're voting between are As Above, So Below, Hellraiser 2, and Jason Goes to Hell.
Bob, small correction. I think it's Hellraiser Deuce.
Hellraiser Deuce, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So,
It is Deuce.
Bob, do you know how those numbers are looking so far in the first week of February?
Pinhead takes
It's the most matter-of-fact tone you've ever taken with that line. I love it.
Bob?
We're
Bob,
mixing things up here.
Bob. We're professionals.
Yes, we have a small correction.
Stand corrected. Hellraiser Deuce is in first place with 47% of the votes.
Whoa.
As Above, So Below, second place, 32%, and Jason Goes to Hell, third place with 21%.
Yeah, one of those movies is, certainly hell related.
Yeah. Two of them have hell in the title, so
Yes.
Yeah, one of them twice.
we're kicking ass.
Cool. All right.
Man, we really stick to a theme, can't we, boys?
Nailing it.
There's definitely a lot of hell in all three of those movies.
Yes.
Yep. Can't wait to visit hell. In
Literal
all three films.
and metaphorical hell. So there you go. Get your votes in before the end of February. And don't change those fucking votes. Just let them be. And we'll see what we're talking about in March.
Oh, Bob, you just poked the hornet's nest right there.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, the worst thing you could have done is even said
Oh,
anything.
we're fucked.
You are.
I would actually like a little credit for this episode happening right now
Fair.
because
Yeah.
Fair.
I realized I had not voted and actually threw my vote in at the last minute.
I think
when
it only
was-
won by one vote.
Thank
think
you.
you-
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
You are democracy. Hooray.
Yes. Every vote counts.
But you had a special interest. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Do we need to recount the vote first? Wait,
Oh
maybe
my
we
God.
got to
Yeah,
push pause on
Yeah,
this
let's recount the vote on the episode that we are currently recording.
We'll be back next week with
Something.
Is this going to be a rehash of Halloween 2 when you guys had to recount?
Yeah.
Get your votes in
boy.
before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking about this March. And other Patreon news, we're dropping mini-casts every other Friday. Last Friday, we just dropped one on Saltburn. Check that out. It is weird and horny.
an extra long mini cast
Yeah,
to match
not so
the
many.
extra long themes that go along with Saltburn. So-
Extra long themes? I'm upset by that phrasing.
So,
These
I hope
themes,
you
they're just
enjoyed
long as fuck.
It's
larger than average themes on Saltburn.
That's a 9.5 inch theme right there, baby.
Big old doinks.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, check out our review on Saltburn on Patreon. Next up is going to drop on Friday, February 16th, and that's going to be a mini cast. Your boy Soju's talking about Night Swim.
Night Swim with that one guy who I don't like his face. I never remember his name.
That's a preview.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That feller.
Yeah,
That little feller over
That
there.
guy with the face.
yeah, the face.
I did watch that movie this
Yeah?
week. It's
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
all right.
Bob, hang
We'll
on.
talk about it.
Let's wait for the mini cat.
Oh, okay. I'll wait.
Don't wait to reveal
Maybe
your
it was
opinion.
great.
Maybe it's amazing. Yeah, probably. Find out my thoughts on Justin's minicast. That's pretty much all we got for Patreon. Do you guys have anything you need to plug?
Not at the moment, no.
Think so?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Last thing I got is Joe Bob is doing a double feature this Friday, February 9th. He's doing his special Valentine's double feature. Starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have a watch party for that per usual. If you want to join the watch party, I'll throw a link out to do so just before showtime on Friday, February 9th. So check it out. Come hang out with us.
Cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Is our house clean, Bob?
I think so.
All right.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about From Beyond, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, how many editions do you have of this particular box?
2. I own 2 of these.
Bob, I know you have this box because I can see it right over there. It looks pretty good.
Which one you got? Or which ones you got?
The Vinegar Syndrome 4K
That's
release.
the one I got.
That looks pretty.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Randy's
number
got
one
it too.
hit
Yeah.
record. Look at that.
Yeah,
Randy.
this is a purchase I made at the Overlook Film Festival. Yeah. It's
Last year?
Just at one of those tables. Yeah, last year. And I just never got around to actually putting it in, but I knew this episode was coming down the pike, so excited to have broken it open.
Bob, is that where you got yours?
No, I got mine from Vinegar Syndrome's website.
Oh, okay.
I got to buy it next.
A little boutique blue, supplier. Maybe you heard of them.
I literally bought this almost like a large reason was an excuse to stand next to Jim Jarmusch at the table. So I think I have
That's a good reason.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
I approve.
Jim. How you doing?
Hi, Jim. Do you like goopy titties? Because I got them. I got them right here.
He's like, I do, brother.
Yeah, he turns into a pro wrestler. He's a big pro wrestler guy.
Yeah.
That's a good opening line, I think, for any conversation. Just break the ice.
Hey, goopy titties.
When I go to a church luncheon, that's the first thing I say to everybody.
At church.
At the church luncheon. We're talking about From Beyond from 1986, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 25 minutes. This is based on a short story from H.P. Lovecraft, written by Brian Yuzna and Dennis Paoli, directed by your boy Stuart Gordon, starring Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Ken Foray, some other lovely folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. A group of scientists have developed the resonator, a machine which allows whoever is within range to see beyond normal perceptible reality. But when the experiment succeeds, they are immediately attacked by terrible life forms. Have you, gentlemen, gentle lady, have you seen this movie before? Would you recommend folks check it out? Jacqueline, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, thanks. No, I had not seen this movie before. It's one of those that for some reason escaped me. I can remember seeing the VHS box art, at Blockbuster back in the day. And I always passed it over because I don't know why, but I thought it was a different kind of movie. I really don't know why. For some reason, I thought it was like an action type of, I don't know but I didn't know it was what it was. So it just never was on my list. So no, I had never seen it before. This was a first time watch. To general like horror fans, yes, I would recommend this. I think this has like strong appeal. There's a lot that's good about it. I don't know about like a non-horror fan though. It might be a bit too schlocky, but for the average horror fan, overall, yes, definitely.
Right on. Juice, what about you?
This isn't a particular recommend for me. It checks a lot of like the boxes on my personal don't like list. But what I would say is if you like Stuart Gordon's other work, I think it's pretty consistent with that. What this film kind of reminded me of was like a campy version of Hellraiser. So if that sounds appealing, then check that out. But otherwise, like, if you don't like a lot of like the over-the-top campiness of some of the 80s and stuff like that, then, might not be, your castle freaks and whatnot, might not be for you.
Was this was a first-time watch for you?
It was a first-time watch for me. I'd never seen this before, yeah.
Okay. Randy, what about you?
Not a first watch for me. I also was going to bring up Hellraiser as a good point of comparison. I think this movie is less H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond and more Brian Yuzna's Hellraiser in tonality. I would recommend. I think I'm going to echo Jacqueline that it's definitely primed. The pump is primed for the horror fans among us, the people who like creature features, sci-fi people, like genre film people, honestly. But yeah, your typical audience is going to kind of like probably get more giggles than thrills out of this, which is not unreasonable of them, but I just don't think I think it's really tailor-made for the audience that's listening to this podcast right now, probably. So yeah, I do recommend in that capacity.
Bob?
Okay.
Is this first time watch for you? Would you recommend?
No, I'd seen this a handful of times before, and yeah, I do recommend it. It's a bit of a cult classic. It is somewhat similar in like theme and tone with Reanimator, so if you dig that, I think you'll get something out of this. And generally, I would For horror fans, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I also want to say the artists in the room need to watch this movie because the effects and the lighting in this movie, very fucking great.
Well,
Okay.
A voice of dissent.
It sounds
as
like
always.
mostly a recommendation from the Straight Chillin' crew, but not entirely. So take that for what you will.
Question for you guys. Had
Yeah.
any of you read the short story by Lovecraft?
Oh my no.
No.
I am illiterate.
Yeah.
Have you read it, Jacqueline?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Oh really?
Reference.
Okay, that's
Nice.
great.
Thank God.
Wow.
So
Thank
I
you
have
for
to
doing the
always
homework
do
that
way
we
more
refuse to
homework.
do.
Yeah, always do way more homework than us.
A big key to becoming a guest on this show is just doing the homework we don't want to do.
Can you do some heavy lifting for us? Yeah, get on here.
But I do have interesting thoughts about that I can throw in later if you wish.
Cool.
Yes,
Awesome.
we do
Yeah.
wish, and thank you for doing that. Let's go ahead and get into the rest of the movie. We're going to spoil the shit out of From Beyond, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, I am not super excited about the plot synopsis, but do you have it?
I do.
All right.
have it. You better get excited. It's riveting.
All right, I'm ready.
You excited to hear me read some?
Yes.
Yeah.
Give
Hell
me
yeah.
all the gritty details.
Story time with Bob. Gather around, children. Here we go. Scientist Dr. Edward Pretorius has invented the resonator, a machine that allows those within range to see beyond the normal perceptible reality. His assistant, Dr. Crawford Tillinghast, activates the machine and sees strange creatures flying through the air. He's bitten by one of them. He tells Pretorius what's happened, and Pretorius, driven by his thirst for knowledge, turns the machine back on and becomes mad with the feelings the resonator causes. The machine malfunctions and goes to full power and starts running itself. Crawford runs off, and when the police arrive, they find Pretorius has been decapitated. Crawford is arrested for murder and committed to a psych ward where he's treated by Dr. Catherine McMichaels. Crawford explains what's happened. She administers a CT scan and finds that his pineal gland is enlarged and continues to grow. She's convinced of his innocence and gets him released to her custody. They return to Pretorius' house under the watch of Detective Bubba Brownlee. Catherine and Crawford fix the resonator and turn it on. More creatures appear, including a naked Pretorius who says his consciousness has expanded and that his death was a means of ascension to another realm that is more pleasurable than normal reality. Pretorius then attacks...
Horny, Barbara.
They are horny, Barbara. Pretorius then attacks them, causing Crawford to shut off the machine. Catherine thinks the resonator could potentially help with her schizophrenic patients, so she goes back to the attic, turns the machine on yet again. A mutated Pretorius appears and tries to eat Catherine, but Bubba and Crawford save her. Bubba suggests they all leave the house. Pretorius reappears yet again, turns the machine back on. They try to shut it off, and they get attacked by bee-like creatures. Crawford ends up saving Catherine, and his enlarged pineal gland pops out of his forehead. Bubba ends up dying via the bee-like creatures. Catherine short-circuits the machine with a fire extinguisher. Catherine and Crawford return to the hospital where Catherine is now examined for schizophrenia, and Crawford develops a hunger for human brains. Catherine escapes and drives back to the house with a giant-ass bomb. Crawford follows her. Catherine places a bomb on the resonator. Crawford attacks her, and she bites his pineal gland clean off, returning him to his senses. Pretorius wills the resonator to turn back on, allowing him to appear and swallow Crawford whole. Crawford fights internally with Pretorius, allowing Catherine to escape before the bomb explodes, destroying the resonator, Pretorius, and Crawford. Catherine lands outside and breaks her leg as the neighbors surround her. She repeats, "It ate him," and laughs hysterically. Roll credits. Barbara's famous laugh right there.
Yeah.
That's the
sounded just
famous
like
Barbara,
Barbara.
Scream Queen laugh. Yeah.
That perfect. That ending though, that ending scene was a nice positive point. to
Little
end
cherry
the movie
on
for
top.
me. I was like, hell yeah.
You like that ending. Okay,
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Brother.
Hell
Give
yeah.
it to me, brother.
Damn.
Bra, brother.
No, I think it was Barbara.
So yeah, why do you guys love
Yeah.
this movie so much? Let me listen before I
Did anybody say they love this movie so much?
I enjoy
I
this
don't know
movie
that anybody
a lot.
said that
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, Randy.
Love might, like, in truth, love might be a little strong. I think my rating will bear out whether it's love or not. But I do like this movie, and a lot of it is what I mentioned before, because like I love the sort of the Yuzna Lovecraft like style that he uses so much. Like just visually, I really like it. I love goopy, slimy puppets. I love that shit. Like I don't know, like as chintzy as it can be, like to me, it's very like very effective in seeming disgusting, which is the point. So like to that end, I really like all that stuff. I think that it's kind of like on a story level, I like the talk about like the pineal gland and all that stuff, because it's like it is true hard sci-fi. It's like science fiction based on somewhat real science about the pineal gland. I think that was kind of interesting. I like some of the backstory I've heard about some of the stuff, but like I also just like some of the performances. Barbara looks great in this movie, and she's performing kind of at the top of her class. She's more the lead of this movie than anybody else, and I think that was a nice turn after regrouping her with Jeffrey Combs in another Lovecraft film to sort of like switch that around a little bit. And give her some chops. I don't know. I like a lot of things about this movie, and I'm sure we'll get into more things later, but kind of chief among them to me is the style, the coloring, the lighting, and some of those special effects just really like, they just tickle me, man. I just like them a lot.
Randy is tickled. Jacqueline, what did you like or dislike about this?
First of all, I agree with everything Randy said. To add to that, first of all, I really like the pacing of this movie. I feel like right out of the gate, it hits the gas and doesn't really let up. It's a nice, tight, like hour and 25 minutes runtime. And I was never bored for a second. Like I can put up with a lot of bad shit. And I'm not saying this movie had any like bad shit in it, but I can put up with a lot if it's like well paced and not boring. Like that's the kiss of death for me, is if I'm like falling asleep during it or like zoning out. That didn't happen here. I also just really like the premise, this idea that there's this other realm around us every moment, like it's everywhere, it's right now, and we as human beings just have limited abilities to perceive that. And so the idea that you can, run this science experiment, flip this switch, and suddenly you can see things on another dimension, that is really fascinating to me. Like that's some Twilight Zone shit, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I like the idea they touch on later on in the movie where potentially people with schizophrenia can just see these creatures all the time, and that's why they're so bothered. They seem bothered, because they can see shit that we can't, which is pretty cool and horrifying, if true.
And it
It's
really
probably
adds
true.
to like, it's a very good starting point for a protagonist whose goal is not, it gives fuel in the tank for a protagonist who is largely driven by want to explore the beyond, but also gives credence to the idea of like, well, this could like cure how many people of their psychological illnesses, or could validate some of the things that these supposedly crazy people are saying and thinking. And she has like a history with her father. So I don't know. I think it's well justified, the reasons that she has for doing what ultimately ends up being self-destructive and insane things by the end of this movie. And that's, not every movie does that well at those things. So
Yeah. It lets you...
Well, there's
I was going to say, it lets you see beyond our reality, but also makes you like hella fucking horny.
yeah, that's,
A little bonus.
No.
No.
Bob, you're a big Stuart Gordon kind of guy, though, talking about getting horny over here.
I mean, I'm talking about the giant themes of the movie.
Oh, sure, yeah. The
Those long
larger-than-life
themes.
themes.
big,
Super
long
long
themes, meaty themes.
For me, this is kind of like a perfect example, especially having a first-time watch alone, coming into a movie and not really knowing anything about it. It's hard to kind of overcome a bad first impression, because I think the first 15 to 20 minutes of this film are some of the worst. The performances that struck me at first were some of like the weakest and cheesiest. I feel like that's where a lot of like the cheese is coming in. You get some immediately like talking one of my biggest, there is a lot of good effects in here and good looking things that happen in here, but the first ones that you see are the worst to me, of this
the
thing
fish things
floating through the air. You get them again later with some jellyfish floating through the air, but in this thing where later we get this creative monster that comes apart and it's practical and it's real and it looks very impressive, but the first things to be like, there's things floating all around us and I'm scared of them and they're attacking me, to be these black and white like aquarium fish thing that float around. It's just the movie starts off very, very cheesy seeming and low budget seeming, that it immediately struck me with a bad sour note that was hard for me to come back from.
I read something, and I don't know if this is true 100%, but apparently H.P. Lovecraft was like, he had some sort of phobia with fish or something, which I think is...
He didn't like fish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's why he put things like that in his stories, like this and Dagon is also like fish people, you know?
And like the Innsmouth people or whatever, they're also fish people. But like he was also like, according to, I watched like the bonus features on this Blu-ray, since I rarely get to do that.
Way to go, Randy.
I know. And they talked, Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton were talking a lot about how some of this stuff in From Beyond in particular was inspired not just by that, but also by his phobia of germs, because the concept of germs was a relatively new one. The idea that there's like a world that is omnipresent, as Jacqueline said, and constantly around you, but you cannot see it with the human eye, and it may actually do you harm in ways you can't understand, that science doesn't understand yet, like to explore in that world and understand it. So to me, like knowing that actually does help validate some of that stuff. I do agree though that like out of the effects in this movie, that like the fish creatures, like it's an in-camera effect and it just doesn't sell as well, because like things flying in the air like that, it's just a hard sell. And I don't think that this movie like really nailed that part. And so, like, as far as an effects feature, it is a little bit of a thud comparatively. And also, I think it sets a bad precedent for the, or not a bad precedent, excuse me. It also, like, it kind of makes you feel like you're, like, at home with this world, because it feels a little bit silly, like Reanimator. But this movie is not as silly as Reanimator by any stretch of the imagination, and it's intentionally not that. This is, like I said, like this is Brian Usna's Hellraiser. It's using the aesthetics that he has, but it's not going quite as schlocky with the majority of this movie, and that particular effect kind of does lend itself more to the Reanimator tone than it does to the From Beyond tone. So I'll agree somewhat to that.
Mm. There's also some humor. There's also some humor in it that I don't know. Like for me, I thought it was funny, but I could see how maybe it would have come off as corny or rubbed you the wrong way, Justin. Like the neighbor with the dog, who's like, "You told me to call again if there were any more disturbances." Well, I'm disturbed. Like I don't know. Did that rub you the wrong way? I laughed out loud at that, but I could see how that would be like a corny thing that irritated you.
Well, to touch on that, and even to go to Randy's point, the kind of split that you guys even have like talking about it in that way is that I actually thought it was closer in tone to Reanimator because of some of those really goofy moments, the dog running in, the guy running out with an axe. And one of the kind of problems I have, I'm not as sold on this director, and it seems like pretty consistent through at least the work I'm familiar with in his. And one of the biggest things that rubbed me like really wrong about Reanimator, where I was like really sold on Reanimator, where it sticks more with that tone, but this goofy campy tone and then becoming so unnecessarily sexual in it, where Castle Freak, Reanimator, and now this movie has this very dark, completely, in my opinion, unnecessary sexual aspect where a woman is always getting raped or assaulted by some fucked up monster that doesn't really lend to the plot. And so when you have this campy movie, I can roll with goofiness if it stays in a consistent kind of tone. Like I'm much more sold on Reanimator because it is more consistent in that way. Whereas this one, it was like, sometimes it wants to be serious, sometimes it's over the top. And then also, again, like all his other work, gets weirdly sexual in a way that I don't think pushes the narrative in any important way.
I don't know. I do see that point, but I like, to me, the character of Pretorius being a predator and being the person that he is, who he's experienced. This is the Hellraiser question, right? Like seeking out the greater dimension of pleasure. That's what this movie is, just like Hellraiser. So to me, like the sexuality in this one is more justified than it is in Reanimator, because it's servicing that talking point, that theme of what, like, for somebody who needs to feel things at the nth degree, seeking that out at all costs, including their own body, their sanity, and everything else. Like, that to me works for this movie.
Yeah. Crawford has a line in this where he says, like, the five senses just weren't enough for Pretorius. He needed more. And so, like, yeah, I think it does work really well with that idea, actually, that whole Hellraiser vibe. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a fair. I understand.
It is
why people,
transgressive.
Yeah,
no
doubt.
doubt.
Like why you or anybody else might find it objectionable. It's not like pleasant to watch, but it's not really supposed to be.
Well,
it's supposed to be repulsive.
Also to with this guy, it's like, I know it's in every single one of his films, and it was the really sour note for me where I was really enjoying Reanimator, and it just sticks out in my mind of like, God damn it. Why, And so this comes along, and I think because the tone is more uneven, I'm just like, I don't know. It's because Hellraiser is comparing it to Hellraiser and the tone that movie strikes. There's no campy levity going on with Hellraiser. It's dirty and gritty, and that's what you get throughout. And the character of Frank is so disgusting. And the thing about this one is I was even wondering, was that actually the doctor, or was it the being using the image of Pretorius to...
Well,
I don't, to like taking on his features. I got more honestly of the impression that it was a being from that realm. That was
I think that's an interesting question, but we also learn about his history. Like, he has a history of videotaping himself having, kind of rough, kinky sex with women. Not that, like, no kink shaming here, but, he does have a history of like seeking extreme sensations.
Every daddy likes being in the dungeon.
He sure does. And so, it's not that big of a leap, I think, to go from some of that to sort of more, questionable type of actions.
I agree. I think it's like Pretorius's id is pretty laid bare immediately. Like the first time you see him, he's wearing like the affluent rapist special outfit. Like, it's very upsetting. He looks like Jeremy Jam from Parks and Rec. He's fucked up.
He walks out putting a sensual robe on. He's like, oh yeah, let's go to the machine and see what's happening.
And that's not to say,
me
like,
of that Colin Farrell character in Horrible Bosses. That like total douchebag.
In a while. I can't remember how that went. Yeah, I know he had the comb over, that insane comb over.
It reminds me of the robe that Will Ferrell is wearing in
Wedding Crashers.
Mom, the meatloaf. Fuck.
Yeah. It's the dime store faux Asian robe thing that was going on.
Pseudo
I don't
kimono.
know.
I'm cultured.
No shade to be our BDSMers. We love our BDSMers, don't we, folks? But in terms of this character, that's painted as a means to some pretty disturbing ends already. Mm-hmm. So to the extent, I think it is an open question. Like, I don't think it was all him. Obviously, I think that he melded with this thing the same way that he and Jeffrey Combs were melding towards the end. But I think that he had more than enough cooterdom in himself to be that way on his own, if you wanted to make that argument.
There is a deleted scene that I think is lost to time, where before he walks out of the bedroom, you're supposed to see what he's doing inside the bedroom, and what he's doing, and they did film it, was sticking a nail through a woman's tongue.
Jesus Christ.
So that's the kind of guy we're working with here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... We're pretty aware of his like sort of hedonistic impulses, but then we're also told that this machine heightens sexual impulses and desire for sensation and things like that. So I think what Randy said was right, that it's him, but also, once he kind of falls victim to the machine, it kind of takes it to a new level. I will say that element was not in the short story at all. There's nothing about there's nothing sexual about it at all. There's nothing about seeking more intense sensations or, trying to get inside of somebody else's minds. It's strictly about seeing this invisible world around you. And when I read the story, it's quite short. Only a few pages, really, like not enough to be adapted to a feature film. And so I think that what's the name of the guy who wrote it? The screenplay?
Stuart Gordon.
Oh,
no, he didn't write
Dennis
it. It was
Paoli?
Dennis something.
Oh.
He I think they added these elements in to kind of beef up the story and turn it into something that could be a feature length film. But also, I think we might be lying to ourselves if we didn't acknowledge that it's probably to like find an excuse to get Barbara Crampton naked and get some tickets sold. And
yeah,
it serves many purposes. I think like that's interesting, but like to me, like what sort of codifies it as being legitimate, besides the things I've already mentioned, is also that we're talking about the pineal gland. Like, was the pineal gland mentioned in the short story? Is that anywhere involved at all?
Yes,
it is. So like that is what regulates hormone secretion and sexual impulses and things like that. That's a true thing. So to me, it's extrapolating from real things, which adds to a little bit of legitimacy to it. Even though, yes, ultimately butts and seats were the main priority, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Barbara's going to bring that. Barbara is going to bring that.
She was. I'm not complaining about that.
Well, yeah. So to touch on that, I'm like the aspect of Barbara Crampton again in a similar way to like Reanimator. There's like, so we get that one scene where she is in a sexy outfit, but the complete context of that one scene is so disgusting that I in no way found this film erotic in any kind of way, because what she does in that situation, well, the two things is she molests a man who has gone through this terrible looking transformation, who is also passed out, and then the next moment the guy who is the best fucking character in this movie, the football player, I love that fucking dude, huge positive note for me with that guy, reveals herself like to herself in the mirror, like puts her in front of the mirror, and she breaks down and cries and weeps, and I was like, that's fucking disgusting. I don't know. I felt so fucking bad. And all watching that sexy scene, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like making me
it's supposed to be
terrible.
Disturbing. It's not supposed to be a hot sex scene.
Well, I mean, with the whole
but
like
Barbara is sexy in the scene.
Yeah,
like that's what's sexy about it.
Out of complete context, then yes, sure. But the context is so disturbing that
it's intended to be. I mean, and the thing is, like, that is another thing, is that we see that like the pineal gland's involvement with everything causes them to be hypererotic. It causes them to sort of like lose themselves and basically like become resonate, if you will, with the creatures that are all about like merging and like flying into each and all this shit. And like that, to me, it does kind of correlate to the idea of desperately wanting to seek the unknown, like the insane pull, the thing that's driving you insane is the thing you want to get the closest look at. Like, sexuality drives people to do a lot of heinous things in this world. And so to me, that to make those two things one-to-one in this works on that level as well. So like I can understand, like it is repulsive in the context of the film. As far as like just Barbara looks great, and I think she does a great performance in this, and the way that she sells that scene is a big part of why it is repulsive. But she herself is like just looking great. It's just like an iconic scene for her, really.
Yeah. I want to touch on like Dennis Paoli for a second, just to maybe defend my boy Stuart Gordon here for a little bit. So Dennis Paoli wrote the screenplay for Reanimator. He wrote the screenplay for From Beyond. Not sure about Castle Freak. I don't know about that. But he also wrote the screenplay, I know, for that new movie, Suitable Flesh, that just came out.
Oh, yeah.
And it is hyper fucking horny, dude. Like crazy crazy, crazy horny. It's also based on like an H.P. Lovecraft short story that I'm sure has nothing to do with sex, but like that movie is 100% all about sex. That's what the movie's about. So maybe that's just kind of what he likes to write about, perhaps.
And there's
What's his
nothing
name?
inherently
Who is it?
wrong.
Dennis Paoli.
He did also screenplay. To be fair, Castle Freak written by Stuart Gordon and Dennis Paoli.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
all right.
I don't know. Like, I haven't seen Suitable Flesh, and like there are limits, obviously, to like how you depict sexuality. I think that goes without saying. But like to me, it's like sexuality is absolutely one of the main drives of humanity. I think it's very reasonable to center your artwork around that in some way, especially when it is playing to these themes that we've been talking about, the idea of being driven by something you can't quite understand, all those other things that we've already mentioned. So
Yeah. I'm all right with it. I'm down with some schlock and some sleaze. Like, I like these movies. But
it kind of does it both.
As do I.
We know. Well, I really was. My next question was going to be towards Jacqueline to be like, was the sexual aspect in the original story? Because as I was watching it, I had that feeling of, I feel like this was added to add the get butts in seats aspects of it more than anything. I was feeling this feels exploitative. It feels, like I said, partly unnecessary and partly like adding to my disenjoyment of the, I'm like, it's like adding to, like, it's taking away from the film for me personally, because I thought that, now I do agree of the aspect of the realm, especially in reference to Lovecraft's hearing about his fears, that was the thing. And I felt like that was the aspect that was watered down or taken out in service of the sexual stuff that was added. And it's like it didn't feel necessarily authentic to what I felt like was the origins of the story of like, oh my god, I turned the switch and there's things all around us and they kill somebody, I have to defend myself. Like, that's what I was curious about. And when he pops out and his like face pops out, that looked amazing. But I was like, okay, that was the most positive kind of aspect of the film to me. And the swarm of the things eating the man, oh man, that was one of the best scenes. And that was kind of that's the aspect I really wanted. And to know that was the sole source of the short story, it kind of even more now solidifies to me like, okay, I feel like this movie is just not giving me what I want from it.
I'm kicking myself right now because I wish I had sent you guys a link to the short story or asked you ahead of time if you had read it. Because Justin, I think you would actually probably really enjoy the short story, given what you're saying now about what you liked and didn't like about the film. So it'll be late, but I'll send you a link after the show. And
it's good.
Because I think you'd actually really enjoy it. Like I said, it's really short. You could read it in like 10 minutes.
Cool.
Right on. Did the sexuality like bother you at all in the movie, Jacqueline?
No.
So the added sort of like hyper horniness. You got to fill the movie out with something, right?
Yeah. So
you got to do something.
I mean, if you're asking me because I'm a woman, like, no, no, because I agree with the point that he's supposed to be a predator. He's supposed to be a douchebag, and this resonator is heightening those drives in him. And so to me, it makes sense. Yes, to me, it feels obviously shoehorned in, but I understand it. And so it doesn't bother me. I don't find it offensive. It's not supposed to be titillating. I think, I think Barbara in the sexy outfit is supposed to be titillating, but I don't think you're supposed to be like turned on by the goopy monster, like feeling her up and licking her. And I don't think you're supposed to be turned on by her, trying to seduce Crawford or even what's his name, Bubba. So, to me, it comes down to like intent, and it's like it's supposed to be disturbing, So it doesn't bother me. Yeah,
it's got like aspects of exploitation, but I don't think it it's fully exploitation in any way. But I know that just generally you're not a fan of like exploitation type films, Juice.
I'm typically not
Yeah.
too. And to be fair, like we don't have to hang all of it on that too. I did have some other negatives. So I mentioned the visuals at the beginning and the kind of sour note that the like first 15-20 minutes started. But another one that actually Randy brought up last week was throughout this movie, everyone's just doing the dumbest shit. And in some way they explain a way of like, ooh, you know, we're tempted. But her whole like, I actually love the point, man, the football player, I can't remember his name, the best fucking player, or the
Bubba,
best,
or Ken Foray.
Are you talking about Ken Foray?
Yeah.
Yeah, because anytime he spoke, I was like, yes, because I loved his little line about, I've seen this before in Junkies. And that was great. Fucking great. And even the way he went out was like the high point of the film for me. But just too many times of, they're gonna release this guy into this woman's custody.
Yes,
and also even the big football player being like, I'm gonna be right back, don't do anything, after he gives the whole junkie speech of, I'm gonna step right outside this door for 10 minutes, don't do anything stupid. It's like there's just too many times back to back to back to back where people are doing the dumbest things to where I can't take it as seriously as I would like a Hellraiser. And to be fair, we had this discussion on the Slack where we're like, what's like your least favorite big series? And Hellraiser is one of them. And so for this to feel like a watered down version of Hellraiser where people are being really cheesy sometimes, making these stupid decisions over and over and over again, it just, that was another negative for me.
I like the camp of it.
I guess
like,
it's fair.
you know, I think it's a little more palatable for me than Hellraiser because Hellraiser is so incredibly serious. It's like, you gotta like really have like your wits about you, and like you gotta have like stamina to watch Hellraiser. Whereas this, you do not. It's like more schlocky and fun and goofy or goopy, whatever, you know. So like,
I tend to agree with that. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, I mean that was pretty much my point. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I like both of those things for just different reasons. With they play with so much of the same stock, ultimately, but like. They're I don't know, it's like two different flavors of chocolate to me. Like I like them both, but they're different things, you know. Like white chocolate's not the same as milk chocolate, you know. So I don't know, like I like Hellraiser for its seriousness, but I also like seeing a slightly stilted like creature. I don't know, I guess they're both creature driven, but like this one's like goopy, like not a movie that doesn't feel as self-serious, even though it is trying to take itself more seriously. And that might be the drawback for me is I wish that they had kind of stuck with the Reanimator formula a little closer and allowed a little bit more schlock in there. I think that's why I prefer Reanimators, because they nailed that so hard. This filmmaking style is so geared towards that. Even the look of it is more geared towards that. So like, I kind of wish it was that. I can live with it not being that though, because honestly, like the themes are still there. And I do like Barbara Crampton's story in this and how she plays it. I like how they play Jeffrey Combs. I wish there was more Bubba. Bubba is incredible. Like he is the voice of reason all the time. And he makes some weird biscuit dish that I wanted to try.
Dude, that looks sick. Yeah, I love how he had 3 for himself and everybody else had 1. That was awesome.
Were they like little mini shepherd pies? I thought they were like little mini shepherd pies.
I don't know.
In the featurette, they said that Ken would make, or like that Barbara would have a weekly thing at her place in Rome. They filmed this in Rome and make biscuits for the crew or whatever. And it came somehow as an outcropping of that. So yeah, I don't know.
Somehow you're able to cook these biscuits in a pot. I don't know what the dish really is, but I guess you can.
Well, it's kind of like a cobbler. I guess maybe like a savory cobbler, because you can make a fruit cobbler, drop in biscuit dough on top, and it bakes up. So it could probably do the same thing with like
steam it, maybe
beef and vegetables.
Yeah, I don't know.
Genius.
But it looked delicious, and Ken certainly thought so in that scene. He was living it up with that fucking biscuit dish.
He's a growing boy.
There's another thing about this. Yeah. There's another thing about this movie is like I felt, and I was validated in the feeling of this by watching the featurette and hearing them talk about it. I felt the camaraderie of this film. It really felt like I could tell these actors like were having a good time with their material a lot of the time. They were playing off each other. Well, I don't know. It felt familial to me, even as they were doing all this heinous shit. It felt honestly like I don't know. It just felt homey in a really weird way. And like when I thought about how this movie was made, I was like, I bet they had a fucking blast with some of this shit. And it turned out, based on the featurette, like, yeah, they were hanging out with each other all the time. They were visiting Rome with their families and each other and doing all sorts of fun stuff. And there were, of course, challenges, but and days that weren't so great. But it seems like, you know, another one of those movies where they were fortunate enough to have a good working relationship and outside of work relationship, which is the dream, you know?
Hell yeah. I want to go to Rome. Shoot a
yeah,
movie.
I want to go get paid to go to Rome.
Right? The first straight chilling movie produced in Rome.
Slime my ass. I'm going.
Go there.
Not at all. Go without.
The cradle of civilization.
Who
not the cradle of
who has
civilization.
time for it?
I will agree with Randy. I kind of wish it leaned more into the goofiness of it. But to give it some praise from this end, I kind of mentioned it before. The look of the monster of Pretorius looked great.
Yeah.
It really did. And the different kind of transformations he goes into. Then when his face pops out and the little tentacles are flying out of his face, I was like,
Tight.
hell yeah, brother.
He Beetlejuiced.
It's like almost thing level.
And even kind of the snake in the basement. Yeah, that all the practical stuff was looking good to me. Now, when the thing pops out of his forehead, it looked definitely more impressive. I felt like its movement was a little goofy, but all the practical
It's a little
stuff,
skinny wiener.
Yeah, all the practical stuff looked really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Third eye
Holmes
wiener,
actually
yeah.
called it a dog dick in the interview.
Oh, God.
Oh, Red Rock.
It made me
kinda
laugh.
wish I
I
didn't
thought
know
he was
that.
hyper Mormon. I didn't know that he would say such things, but
Jeffrey.
he's in these
Dog
movies. So
Surprised at you, Jeffrey.
I agree, man. I like all the practical effects. Pretorius, like when he fucking rips the flesh off of his face, one of my favorite scenes for sure. And also at the very end, where you've got Crawford who like sucks an eyeball out of like a doctor's face and starts drinking the blood. That was really like fucking effective, I thought. And then at the very, very end, when like Crawford and Pretorius are like having this internal battle, Crawford like rips out of him and gets pulled back in. I thought that was pretty tight. Pretty cool.
that was great.
visual.
But
Yeah.
I had one thought during that scene that I just couldn't shake, and it was this.
Hunting these rhinos.
I kept thinking of Ace Ventura being shat out of a mechanical rhino.
Kind of hot in these
When-
Warm.
When Combs is like pushing his face with the strands, he's like, ah! I was like, oh my God, Ace Ventura.
Nice.
Yeah,
pull.
the little worm thing coming out of the forehead, that was actually really effective and kind of disturbing for me. It sort of created that feeling of paranoia. Like, you guys remember that urban legend about a spider laying eggs in somebody's cheek or whatever? It's like this fear that there could be something under your skin that could like burst out one day. Like the worm coming out of the forehead kind of like tapped into that like revulsion, that same feeling. That worked for me. I was like, ugh, I was totally horrified by that.
Didn't they
That's fair.
do that story in
Scary Stories to Tell? Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that story from somebody like this week. They were like, yeah, somebody was telling me that they and their husband went to wherever for a week, and I don't know, like something like that. And I was like,
And the
I don't know
legend
how much-
lives on. It lives on.
I know. I
Did they
wear
also
belts
bring
now.
back
I
a
feel like
dog?
I should take it more seriously, but I can't.
Did they
What
also
did you
bring
say,
back
Renee?
a dog from Mexico and find out it was a rat?
What?
Probably,
We
yeah.
saved
That
him
probably
from
happened.
swimming.
They probably encountered some sewer gators on their way home. I don't know.
They were 40 feet long. Something
Just like the themes in this movie.
just like the giant themes. There's something like stood out to me in this. Like Catherine gets this giant bomb from where? Where does it come from? Like
Oh,
She just
that's
knew
not
how to
for you
make it.
know.
yeah,
She just knew how to make it.
Psychiatrist, Bob. They have their way.
they have TNT. They just have it on hand.
It's tools of the trade, Bob.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
That was kind
I
of
had not considered.
strange. I thought.
So, Juice, you had mentioned that you really liked the ending scene. Is it the Barbara losing her mind part?
She
all right.
she killed it in that.
I didn't know if it was everything leading up to that or just that.
Not
or-
really, and honestly, it didn't bother me. It's just one of those kind of things where to me, it was inconsistent. Where there were times where this movie pulled me back in, and I was like, I'm really digging this. Like when the guy got eaten up, and I was like, man, I was wondering if you had a problem with that, Bob, because all the little things.
Oh no,
no,
they were
too small. Okay,
too small, yeah.
So I did like. Yeah, well, there were moments where it was pulling me back in. But
I feel you, Bob.
Yeah,
the problem with
middle area.
Some of the inconsistencies is just like sometimes they can do whatever they want, where the machine is like, nope, you're not going to touch me. Bzz, bzz, bzz. There's a worm coming out, and then there's other times where you can plant a bomb, no problem. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of like it just does what it needs to do to kind of serve what's going on, which, whatever. Well, but it was mostly the positive was Barbara and her laugh was amazing.
Yeah,
and just that
it.
shot was fucking fantastic.
Well, a little reminiscent of Sally in Texas Chainsaw.
That's
no?
exactly what it made me think of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sally.
And like to speak to the like the way that the machine can like restart itself sometimes and like the inconsistent rules, again, like they kind of have a great built-in excuse in that this is like the unknown. This is the Lovecraftian cosmic horror of it. It just, we can't understand how they do anything, and that's what's scary about it and what's so tempting about it at the same time. So I don't know, like again, like the themes and the way that just the content of the story allows for a lot of flexibility with things like that.
Yeah.
To my mind. And that's all I have to say.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably about time to land the old plane. Does anybody have any other major points you want to touch on before we rate this thing?
No.
I
don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Out of 5, Jacqueline, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about From Beyond?
So I feel bad that Justin didn't like it so much. I really enjoyed it. I feel kind of sad that I'm only just seeing it now for the first time at the age I am. I wish I'd seen it before. I enjoy campy, schlocky things. I like the, sort of Technicolor, glowy aesthetic of the movie. I love the 3 main cast members. Randy, like you, I felt a sense of camaraderie between them, and so I'm happy to hear that was real. I expected it between Barbara and Jeffrey since they had already worked together, but nice to know that Ken was kind of in on it too. And I love him. I met him once at a con. He was so nice.
Cool.
Really? Yeah. Is it pronounced Foray? Because I feel like in the documentary somebody said Foray.
Oh, I could totally be wrong.
Taken aback by
I
that.
could absolutely be wrong. I've always said Foray, but that doesn't mean it's right.
Ken, we apologize both ways.
I'm so sorry, Ken. I'm so sorry. You were so nice to me at the con. Please don't hate me. I actually, like I said before, I find the premise really disturbing. The idea that there's this whole invisible world around you. And, since you guys brought up the point about Lovecraft and his fear of germs, it makes total sense. Complete sense. I love it. I was just looking through my notes real quick. One thing I kind of noticed was that I feel like there was a little bit of like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation here, because they seem to kind of slip in and out of these kind of episodes. There's times when they seem to be sort of being controlled or influenced by the resonator, and then there's times when they slip out of it and they seem kind of back to their normal selves and sort of horrified with what's going on. And so that kind of speaks to this so my favorite creature type of movie is werewolves. And Jekyll and Hyde is just sort of the human embodiment of a fully human embodiment of a werewolf story. And this, I think, has a touch of that. And so that further endeared it to me. I really like that. I really like the sort of tension between Barbara Crampton's character and this other female doctor, that there's this push and pull between kind of the traditional way of doing things. But by contrast, Barbara's character is more progressive and forward thinking. She wants to explore this new realm to try to help patients and apply it to, change the way we think about certain things. I thought that was all very meaningful. And, I didn't necessarily go into this movie expecting really anything meaningful. And plus, I just thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching this movie. I was entertained the whole way through. I would definitely watch it over again. I would definitely recommend it to friends that I know enjoy this sort of film. I really enjoyed it all the way around. It's not like a top fave, but to me, it was really solid. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Hell yeah. 4 out of 5.
4 stars out of 5.
Hell yeah.
That's unheard of.
Solid. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jacqueline.
I did.
Good shit. Randeezy, how do you feel?
Oh, I feel so good. Yeah, I want to echo pretty much everything that Jacqueline said. I find like the core concept of this movie interesting. I find the background on this movie interesting. I find the performances good and fun. I would agree with the idea that this movie is uneven in its presentation, but in each vignette, each scene, each moment of this movie, for the most part, I am enjoying it aesthetically, and it just really kept me going. Like, I don't know, while I do think it is uneven, I enjoy it beat for beat. And I don't think it's ever gonna like top Reanimator for me as my favorite Yuzna flick. And I haven't seen a whole lot of his other stuff. I was not big on Castle Freak from what I have seen. I have not seen the whole thing, but like that's the sort of thing that like I don't think that I have a particular proclivity towards schlock. Like, I don't really think that I have that, but for some reason, these movies, and I think the aesthetics have a lot to do with it, they do that for me. They hit for me. And so, like, the idea that this is as a partner to Reanimator in both in its visual approach, like one is green, one is purple. Like, I love this. Like, this is so great. This movie uses what is known on YouTube as bisexual lighting, which I find to be hilarious. I don't know. Like, I love so much about this movie. It isn't a perfect movie, though. On an objective level, there's a lot of things about it that, you know, it's clear that as much as the themes justify it for me and it doesn't bother me, it's clear that they needed Barbara Crampton to be sexually some sort of sexual clad moment of some kind, or some sort of sexual aspect to it, and they added that in for that. But I do think they added it for other reasons as well that make sense, and I can't. Like most schlock movies that want to squeeze in some titties, they'll just squeeze some titties in. They don't need a reason. So I appreciate the extra mile on that personally. Yeah, and it is revolting in so many ways. The concepts are good. I don't know. There's a lot to like about this movie, and as much as I would love to give it like a 5-star just out of sheer glee towards it, it's not even close to that. Even just taken purely as an enjoyment level, it doesn't quite reach those heights because it doesn't lean into the schlock the way Reanimator did. It doesn't leave me laughing as much as I feel these other things. So, yeah, for me, I think I'm on the fence about this, but I think I'm just going to go down the middle between my two debated scores and go 3.75.
3.75 from Randy. All right. Juice.
All right, Bob, I was going to prompt you, but yeah, so I mean, to strike a fair balance, this was a bit of a roller coaster for me. Unfortunately, it started negative, which kind of started me with a sour note, which is a bummer. But to give it credit, it did pull me back in several times. Introducing Bubba and his performance and their relationship, I thought was a positive. I wasn't as sold on Jeffrey Combs' performance and character. It was fine. I didn't have any problems with it. It just wasn't ever captivating me necessarily.
Can I add something to that just real quick? Because like just from the bonus featurette or whatever, he's not super happy with like how his character came out, and I think that it is because he's ultimately playing what would be in another movie the damsel role, which isn't that meaty. So he's often like he's kind of at his wit's end for the entirety of the movie. At best, he's being controlled by his pineal gland, and he suddenly has confidence. And that's the only time you see him not like wringing his hands about what's happening around him or what he's participating in. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was very interesting.
No, yeah,
he was
so
like, I don't know. I just kind of like was worried all the time.
So yeah, I feel like there are some really good performances, and then there's some like lackluster or not that interesting performances. And I feel that way with a lot of aspects of this film. I was really interested in the other dimension of the fear of these things we can't see, of them coming in and giving them power. I love the aspect where he's like, don't move. they could see you and they'll attack you and they'll move to you. I like that aspect
like
of
a
it.
T-Rex.
Yeah, like a T-Rex. Like, oh shit, there's a bunch of shit flying around us. This is wild, right? And then like sometimes there feels like a real threat, and then sometimes it feels like an anime where something needs to happen just to kind of move us forward, and it could be literally anything, and that happens, and I'm kind of like, okay. Definitely to kind of go back to something Rob said, in what I'm looking at, Stuart Gordon is also credited in story by and writing some of this. So
I said that.
Oh, okay. So I don't think he gets a kind of clear pass. I think he's shown a consistency in his films. I agree with what Randy said. Is I actually would prefer this movie to go more like over the top silliness. I definitely prefer Reanimator a lot more to this, and really the sour note for Reanimator was the sexual aspect. Now maybe it's more justified in here, but what takes away from that is like sometimes it takes itself more seriously, so then it feels like it has more impact towards the story, which also feels kind of like wrong in that way. So I'm like, well, give a little, take a little, which is pretty much what I feel about most of this movie. I preferred also to the scenes in the hospital where the guy was running wild. Other than Pretorius and his monstrous transformation, like that was very impressive from a practical standpoint. But the scenes themselves, the horror aspect, I found the guy running around the hospital and that aspect, I found that more interesting for me personally. And they all looked pretty good. Him biting out people's eyes and seeing their brain and wanting to. When the doctor we didn't talk about the scene where she goes in and he's eating the brain, and she's so troubled by it, but she's still trying to be a good doctor, and she's like, "Don't eat that; it'll make you sick." I felt like that was a performance I could feel, in a groundedness that I was like, "Whoa, where's this been in this movie?" And then ending on Barbara Crampton, her laugh was. Amazing. She killed it in that, and her performance, great, fantastic through the whole film. Overall though, I mean, as much as I kind of was negative on this film through a lot of this cast, I'm gonna end it at a 3 out of 5. It's still more on the positive side, but yeah, little slightly over down the middle for me. 3 out of 5. Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put this one?
Oh, hello. I like this movie a good bit. I think first and foremost, when I think of From Beyond, the first thing that comes to mind is like, this movie's gorgeous. I love how it's lit and shot.
She was gorgeous.
Just every scene is just like so beautiful. I think it's really it sticks out with like its color scheme, the way the camera moves. It looks great. It really like elevates some of the more boring scenes, I guess, the way they're able to light the thing. I also thought something that we didn't touch on, and it's they don't really linger on it in the movie, but I think it does add a little bit to Pretorius's character. Towards the end of the movie, Crawford says he's impotent, which might help explain like why he's seeking sexual satisfaction in these other more extreme areas, because he can't experience it normally. And I think that if they had sort of dove into that maybe earlier in the movie, it would add like another layer to that character, I think. I also thought it was really hilarious that Ken Foray walks into the house with his luggage, and he's got a suitcase and like a barbell and like free weights. He's like, the man can't stop working out. I love it. Practical effects we've already covered are really fantastic. I think the vast majority of them work, I guess, except for some of the flying fish is a little bit weird. The cast is amazing. It's just a bunch of actors that, if you're familiar with genre films, you've seen before, and you just love. You love to see them. So like this movie, before you even see it, if you're sort of into the genre and you like, give it a quick Google, see who wrote, directed it, starred in it, like, oh, okay, like everybody from Reanimator is in this, Ken Foray, Dawn of the Dead. Like it buys a lot of like goodwill before you even put it on. And I think for the most part, it does like deliver on that goodwill. Super interesting, super tight runtime. I don't think they miss a beat. They hit the ground running. There's no lulls in this movie. There's a bit of like goofiness to it, but I'm down with that. I like that kind of thing. Bring on the camp. The more the better, honestly. This does not. It's not better than Reanimator, but it is a really, really nice sort of sibling, I guess. Like, make a great double feature, which maybe we should host that somewhere sometime.
Whoa.
That'd be
I might be busy that week.
Sorry, guys. I can't.
I'll help you, Bob.
Thank you.
A poster for the fucking From Beyond would be incredible.
Dude, a poster for Reanimator would be
Randy
incredible.
would just play. He'd have.
Randy
I don't
has
know. There's
the
something
time.
about printmaking with like bubblegum pink that is so attractive to me right now. I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I would love that.
Make us a really nice bisexual poster.
You
Randy.
could do like a
Hell yeah,
twofer
buddy.
with the green and then the pink blend. Ooh, my lord.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do it, Randy.
practically
Just
makes
do
It
itself.
pleasures my pineal gland.
How's your pineal feeling, Randy?
Ooh, buddy. You don't even know.
Engorged.
These rhinos.
The plot is a little bit redundant with like the machine on off. It's a little like, okay, we get it. When they finally get back to the hospital in the end, it's really kind of awesome because you get out of that fucking house for a minute. I do really enjoy that. I also enjoy how off the fucking rails Jeffrey Combs finally gets in the hospital, which, to your point, actually, Randy, I think you hit on this more, is he's just kind of like laying around in the house. But in the hospital, like something clicks where he's like, I'm fucking hungry now. And I'm also going to murder this innocent doctor and a couple ambulance drivers. Like he just is completely transformed into this like evil entity at that point, which is really entertaining to watch because Jeffrey Combs is extremely entertaining as an actor, and he finally gets to open up a little bit and you see his chops. So yeah, the hospital scene at the end is really, really a nice sort of like segue into the end of the movie. They get back into the attic and you see some great monster effects, and then Barbara ends it with that great scream, little cherry on top. Really like the ending of this movie. They stick the landing really well, and it's like 85 minutes. It's great. It's a really, really enjoyable movie. Flies right on by. I dig it. I kept flip-flopping between like 3.5 and 4 like you, Randy, so I'm going to go down the middle, 3.75. And that's going to put our aggregate at a 3.6.
All right.
Not terrible.
Right on.
Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what the critics and users have to say about From Beyond.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment of the show in which I'm going to have these folks guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score percentage is on RottenTomatoes.com's critic and user reviews. We're going to start, as we always do, with the critics, and there are, it's a very sparse number of critical reviews on here, 20 reviews, but there is an aggregate for it. So keep that in mind. You're probably going to want to go for an even number on this one. So, or at least by fives, I guess, probably. Yeah, what do we think, guys? I'm going to start with Jacqueline, our esteemed guest. Where do you think that these critics are going to land on, I almost said Reanimator, on From Beyond?
It's all the same. It's probably the same. That's a little tough. I feel like my guess would be that they're a little bit, at least on the positive side. Just know it. Like, I would hope that critics would consider this movie for what it's supposed to be and not, looking for like Citizen Kane. So I'm going to guess 55.
Oh, 55. All right. We'll go to Bob now. Bob, what about you? Where are you going to go with this?
I just like to think that it would be higher than that. It might not be, but I would like to think it is. So I'm just going to go higher. All right. I'm gonna get nuts and take 70.
70. All right. Those 69 guys, they're 69 dudes are very sad that you missed them this time.
Sorry, boys. Maybe
Absolutely.
All right, Juice, round us out. Where are you going to take us?
Well, Bob took mine because I was thinking it'd probably be pretty close to where we were. Since Randy's guess, I'm gonna keep it sticking with the 5. So I'm gonna be meeting this, Sammy. I'm gonna go scotch lower, and I'll say 65.
Ooh,
65. All right. Well, let me see. There's only 10 percentage points between one of you and victory, and that person's gonna be Bob. This one's an 80% positive.
Whoa.
80% positive. There's no aggregate or no critics consensus write up.
Yeah.
But That's pretty good, even with just 20 reviews. There's only 4 negative reviews out of this batch.
Wow.
And you know what
I'm glad I was so wrong.
You know what else? That's a hell skeet.
Whoa, Bob. Sneaking it in on me there.
Hey, oh.
My log has something to tell you.
And here it is. There are 5,000 audience ratings for this film. So quite a few more, 5,000 plus, I should say. We're going to go in reverse order. Juice, why don't you tell us what you think those 5,000 plus ratings aggregate to for our users?
Well, I'm thinking it's probably not going to be that high. So I'm gonna take the 70 this time because I wanted it the first time. So I think it'll. Again, I'm thinking it's going to be close to where we are. So 70 for me.
70. All right. Bob, how about you?
I'm going to go lower this time, and I'll take a 60.
60. All right. And Jacqueline, round us out. Over, under, in between. Where are we thinking?
I was thinking a little higher. I'm going to take 75.
You're the meat again, buddy.
Oh, that's where I like to be.
Permanent meat.
Well done. Uh-oh. That sound means we've got ourselves a ringy dingy for this one.
Is that the ringy dingy?
That's what I decided for this episode. May not be continued.
Perfect.
Yes, we have a ringy dingy. We have a spot on guess here, and that particular guess belongs to Soju. Congratulations. 70% on the button.
You bish.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
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 You know it.
Once. Yeah. Well done. I don't know.
I didn't know if there was like a little, are you going to do the negative thing or whatever?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go into our negative reviews if you guys, I just didn't want waiting for reactions, but congratulations on that. Yeah, there you go. There are 4 negative reviews on here. So I'm going to read a couple of them. Actually, one of them has no synopsis, no snippet. So, here's one from the esteemed Roger Ebert, a negative review from him, but doesn't sound terribly negative, which is From Beyond doesn't quite measure up to Reanimator. It's not trashy enough and doesn't have the insane tunnel vision of the first movie, but in its own way, this is quite a job. And I think that's positive, if I'm understanding this writing correctly.
For Ebert, that sounds positive.
Yeah.
Glowing.
Yeah.
It's a 2.5 out of 4, which I guess doesn't quite reach the cutoff for him. For me, that's positive. That's it's more positive than negative, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And we'll read one more here. This one I have not pre-screened. Let's see. A disappointing missed opportunity that never becomes the fun, fast-paced horror effort that one might have expected or hoped for. I don't think that's terribly off base, depending on what you're excited. Like, I was fine with it, but I think somebody could feel that way.
I was reading like a little bit of trivia on this, and one thing that the director said was, hell yeah!
I knew you were going to fucking do it. I fucking knew it. As soon as you said I was reading trivia, I was like, nope.
No, he wasn't.
No, you weren't. Whatever comes next is more lies.
You bitch.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
All right, that's it for our Rotten Tomatoes
research. No, you.
Well, Bob, you were, so why don't we quit this Rotten Tomatoes kvetching and get over to our trivia section?
I must kvetch. Yeah, let's get into some trivia.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right, there is a shitload of trivia on this, so let's get into it. Randy, this might interest you, good sir. Barbara Crampton said that she sold her leather dominatrix outfit she wore in the movie at a yard sale.
It's Barbara.
You can get it. Just get out there and find it. It's somewhere.
Actually, like by random happenstance, I saw that one piece of trivia, and I thought to myself, man, like, who's buying used lingerie at a garage sale?
That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like there's a real good market for used underwear, so I think there are some buyers, but they're not the type of people I would expect to be browsing at a yard sale for.
I don't know. Our boy Mikey's always at the garage sale, so that theory goes out the window.
And we all know how he likes his crusty draws.
Bob, have you been to Mikey's house recently? Does he have a leather dominatrix outfit?
I was there last night. He was cooking us smash burgers, actually, and he was wearing a tight little leather get-up, and the grease kept splashing on his genitalia. He kind of liked it, though, so, whatever.
Maybe Daddy likes being in the dungeon.
Mystery solved.
Real story. Leather.
You'll never guess what that bump is from. I want you to try, though.
I believe it.
Where do you think that bump's from? ask.
Wait, play it one more time.
Maybe Daddy likes being in the dungeon.
Is that Ken Foree?
Sounds like
Ken
him.
Foree.
Yeah.
Oh.
Likes being in the dungeon.
Is that from Halloween?
It's not.
No.
Tick,
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
5, 4, 3, 2. All right. It's from fucking Keenan and Kel.
Oh.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, he likes being in the dungeon.
Nice pull, Randy. Nice pull.
Yeah, Mr. Rockmore's just a huge dungeon freak in that show.
Cool. Apparently the resonator sound effects in this movie were sampled in the song Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys.
Cool.
Really?
Apparently.
That's fucking awesome.
That is really cool.
That was rad. Good for them. The Beastie Boys, they knew what was up.
Good for
It's a good track.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
This was filmed in Italy with an Italian crew in order to save money. Gordon says
That's
film,
the element. That's why I really don't like it.
God.
The Italian.
My dormant bigotry is out to play tonight.
I could just sense it.
You've awoken a giant.
You lame brains!
Gordon says the movie would have cost $15 million to make in the States, but making it in Italy allowed them to shoot the movie for $2.5 million. It was shot on a soundstage called Dinocita just outside of Rome. And Dinocita was originally constructed by Dino De Laurentiis, but was seized by the government because he didn't pay his taxes, and then sold to Empire Studios, which was owned by Charlie Band.
Pay your taxes.
Dino.
That's why you pay your taxes, children.
Bob, you don't want him to come in and take all your blues. Pay your taxes.
Fuck the man!
They're seizing my blues.
God, no!
Uncle Sam seized my
Anything
blues, and I've
but
never
the
been the same
blues.
since.
Take my dog, take my wife, but not the blues. Leave the blues.
I need those are an investment.
Without the blues,
quick
what am I? What?
Quick additional trivia to that. Just from the featurette, they were talking about how, like, because it was seized, a lot of the parts were stripped out of this place, and they had no heating. So when Barbara was in that getup, it was like very fucking cold. And like the entire time they were very fucking cold, because if they had heaters on, it would be too loud. The heaters that they had, the small heaters, but they didn't have an internal heater to keep things
the
warm.
room and then turn the heaters off.
No,
I mean that's all they could do, but it's also like an airplane hangar. It's the fucking studio.
Oh yeah.
So like they had small personal heaters, and that didn't work. And then I was going to say something else as well about this. I don't know. I'll come back to it if something about the studio, but we'll come back to it.
Might have it. I've got a lot of trivia, man. But yeah, if something comes to mind, jump in. I think Charlie Band also owned like the castle that they shot Castle Freak in was in Italy, and I'm pretty sure he owned that too somehow. So he just had a lot of cool shit in Italy back in the day. It's good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I was circling. There was a long segment of this featurette rather, that was dedicated to people kind of like sighing and laughing and rolling their eyes, because in Italy, when you film, apparently, like, it's not the same as in the US. There's very strong union situations there, very strong worker rights legislation.
No, that's when somebody did Aliens, right? They were working with a British crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, and they were like, no, we're taking a break.
Yeah.
No, that's what was happening. Is they're like, hey, it's 5:00, so we're done. And they went on a partial strike because they were not provided an individual sized wine with their lunch pails.
Their lunch boxes, yeah.
That shit rules.
They went on
Hell yeah.
strike until they got wine.
Italy just went up.
I love it.
Italy's, man. they came back after WW2. I'll tell you that. They really came back.
There's another. We've discussed this before when we've talked about Italian movies, but whenever they don't, I don't think they do this anymore, but back in the day, whenever they would shoot a movie in Italy, they would never record audio on set. They would always dub it afterwards. Even if the movie was in Italian, they would dub Italian. No matter what it is, they dubbed it. So when they were on set shooting this movie, there would be other crews on other sound stages. They'd be like constructing a sound stage or shooting another movie. So they'd be like hammering and hollering back and forth and whatnot. And like Stuart Gordon would have to walk over to them and explain like, hey, we're recording audio right now, because that's just not the way they ever made movies at that time. So it was very foreign to them, which was a problem. So
trying to save a dollar, that's what happens.
Fucking
Got to deal with the unions.
stupid Americans. In an interview in 2016, someone asked Barbara Crampton if her 13-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son had seen this film and her other earlier works. Crampton said, "No, but my son's friends have seen all my stuff on the internet." And they're like, "Dude, your mom's naked and in black leather." And my son was like, "Mom, you should have told me before my friends saw it." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. Okay." So then I just showed my son everything.
Weird.
Seems weird, right?
Ah,
A little bit.
Seems a little weird.
well,
Why would he want to see his mom naked? Why would she be okay showing it to
Well,
him?
yeah.
I don't know. It's art, Bob.
That's icky.
Not if your mom
That's
is
art.
naked. That's fucking... I don't know, man.
Well,
No, it's strange, man.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
oh, brabra.
That kid's never been the same. I already mentioned that earlier. Apparently there are two movies that are based on this particular H.P. Lovecraft short story. This movie, obviously, and then the movie called The Banshee Chapter from 2013, which we reviewed way back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I
did
missed,
sound
I think. I haven't seen that
familiar.
movie.
Yeah, I don't remember the movie too clearly, honestly. It was a decade ago. That was like one of the very first episodes we
Was
did.
it? Sounds
Yeah.
like a Drewby pick to me, honestly.
I don't want to say it was one of the twins. I don't remember.
Oh,
though.
really? Okay.
I don't remember exactly.
Ross.
Oh, wow.
Rick
Rickety
Ross.
Ross.
Apparently, in 2021, there was a miniseries directed and written by William Butler titled The Resonator, Miskatonic U, and it was released to the Full Moon Features app. It's also on Amazon Prime, yada, yada. So there's a sequel miniseries. I have not seen that. I looked up some stills. It looks maybe not that amazing.
What?
You know, lightning in a bottle, you know? It's
Yeah.
shocking that they did as well the first time, honestly.
Yeah. Something I found about the pineal gland, apparently it produces melatonin, a serotonin-derived hormone which modulates sleep patterns in both circadian and seasonal cycles. And I don't know if this is true, but apparently the shape of the gland resembles that of a pine cone, which is where the name comes from. Seems like a stretch to me.
Wait, resembles the shape of a what?
We ain't scientists.
Pine cone.
A pine cone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pineal cone.
I thought it
That
came
doesn't seem
from-
right. I feel like things are typically named for Latin reasons, not
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they resemble.
look like your
I don't know,
brain.
in medical.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
I don't
I'm
know.
Googling.
Maybe
It does
we're-
not look like a pine cone. It looks like a kidney bean.
Yeah, it's like, well, what?
Right.
A pine cone's such a
Shots
specific
fired.
shape.
Yeah.
All right.
I also read in ancient Greek, they were the first to notice the pineal gland and believed it to be a sort of valve for the flow of pneuma, which apparently is ancient Greek for breath, or in a spiritual context, spirit or soul.
Cool.
Numa, yay.
My
Damn.
my
Know what I'm bumping on the way home
Yeah, man.
my
to Korea for 16 hours straight.
Just over-
Numa.
Enjoy.
How many times can you?
How did you
listen to
enjoy your flight, sir?
Numa
Oh,
for
Numa to
16
you.
hours?
You would crack.
Yes,
You would go
for sure.
That's some shit that a YouTuber would do now.
That's some
for
torture
clicks.
shit right there,
I
yeah.
listened to the Numa song for 78 hours straight.
for TikTok.
This is what happened to my brain. Egg cracks.
Lobotomized. They used over 100 gallons of slime and had a designated slime painter that would apply the slime in between takes. Apparently, the slime was made in 55-gallon drums using this thing called methyl cellulose, which is also used in McDonald's milkshakes to thicken them.
Oh,
Yum, 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 yum.
That's not cool.
How do you get
Also-
the job of slime painter?
Yeah, I kind of
He's
want
a
that
he's
job.
a tech he's a fuck. He's a makeup artist, so like that's it. Like he was like the lead makeup artist. He was
Maybe
interviewed
he's a
in this
painter.
featurette.
Yeah, for sure.
That too. But apparently, and this is probably your next thing, if I had to guess, is this about the odor?
Oh, no, but yeah, go for it, man.
Okay. Apparently, they made all that stuff in advance. Just like, look, we don't have time to like do this over and over again. They had to make it on site in Rome instead of being shipped out there. It was cheaper, so they made it all in one big batch. And it was a long enough shoot to where that shit was rancid by the end. So when you're watching Jeffrey Combs fucking force his head through that shit, it is rancid milkshake goo that he's going through. So Pour one out for anybody who had to be close to that shit.
Dedicated to the craft.
Yeah.
Committed to the bit.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
Trying to save some money. Stupid
Look what happens.
That was an American company, but
Cutting some corners.
Cutting some corners. Speaking of cutting some corners, this is the last bit I have here. There's a very brief moment in the movie where Ken Foree tackles Jeff Combs down the stairs. They kind of roll down together, and they hired an Italian stunt double to do that scene. Well, two of them, and obviously the Italians weren't quite the same complexion as Ken Foree, so they had to paint his skin. So when the dude tackles the Jeff Combs stunt double and they roll down the stairs, the Ken Foree stunt double sort of like his arm rolls down the side of the wall, and you can see like the paint smear off and stick to the wall.
Oh my god!
There's fucking bronzer streaks on the wall.
Yeah,
classic.
That's embarrassing.
Italy.
That is. Oof. Just paint me up. That's all it is. Just paint me up.
There you go. That's
Jesus
the
Christ.
trivia that I have for you tonight.
All right.
Nice.
That's good trivia.
There you go. Let's go ahead and get into our Cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is the Cooter and why do we hunt them?
Oh, Cooter's character type in a straight chillin' exclusive.
Damn!
Now you're bringing the heat. Okay.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help laughing.
Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, but we want the Cooter with the most points. The 5 points of Cooterdom are sexual Jacqueline. Tell us what the 5 points
Sexual
of Cooterdom
Jacqueline, tell us what the 5 points are.
Sexual, that was my nickname in high school.
Oh man.
Sexual deviance, overall look and attire, manipulation, overall patheticness, and smug arrogance.
Nailed
Ooh.
it. Randy,
Way
give
to
us
go,
a sweet
sexual
sound
Jacqueline.
bump.
What's that?
Thank you.
I say give us a sweet sound bump.
Here we go. Sweet sound bump. There we go.
Nailed it.
From henceforth and from forevermore, I shall be known as Sexual Jacqueline.
And welcome to a Cut Above podcast. I'm Sexual Jacqueline.
That's what I'm just gonna start that, but before this episode comes out, we're recording tomorrow, so I'm just gonna say it and not explain why.
Like, what are you talking about? I've always gone by that.
What is my name?
And these are my boys.
Damn. Yes.
What were we talking about?
Yeah.
Cooter.
We got a Cooter. Let's
Oh, yeah,
start with
Cooters.
number 1 at the top. Dr.
Pretorius.
Pretorius.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Pretorius.
So sexual deviancy,
Check.
Yes.
Rooney in all
Are we
aspects, even before he's a monster. I mean, no kink
Yeah.
shaming, but if Bob was saying about the nail through the tongue, that's
Yeah.
A little kink shaming for nailing someone's fucking tongue to the ground.
Well, it kind of depends. Did they want their tongue nailed?
yeah. Was
That's
it
fair. It's a good
consenting,
question.
Bob?
I don't know.
Well,
The footage was lost.
You know?
Well, when he's a slime creature and he's sliming Brabra, that's not
definitely
consensual.
not consensual. Yeah.
He's trying to
No,
swallow
it's
folks
very
whole.
fucked
Yeah.
up. Well, and he's manipulating through the
he's, like,
resonator,
taking over her
manipulating
body,
the pineal
yeah.
gland. Yeah, and like they're clearly not in control. Like when she gets turned around and faced into the mirror, and it's like, "Is this who you are?"
Man, that was
and she's
so
like,
sad.
"Oh fuck, yeah." Like it is
Just
fucked up.
breaks down.
Like it's
weeping.
clear that, and that might not be
Damn.
that might not be him. That might just be the effects of the resonator,
be.
though. In
Could
fairness,
be.
and like I think it is. I think it just heightens your internal sexual
Yeah.
drives, is what's being communicated anyway.
So
But-
sexual deviance, check. Looking attire, he's looking fresh.
Yeah,
It's looking.
He's covered in rancid goo.
rancid goo. You're saying that like he's like showing up on the dating game. He's covered in rancid goo and he's melting like a candle.
He has
It's Dr.
no
Pretorius. He's got a sperm shaped neck and
Looking attire.
Check. Manipulation.
Manipulation. Yeah, he
For
keeps
sure.
turning on this machine, even though he shouldn't.
He shouldn't do it.
He should not do that.
He shouldn't.
Don't touch that dial. You need to hear this.
You need to hear this. What? Smug arrogance? Yes.
God, yes.
Yeah. He's pretty pleased with himself.
He is.
Oh,
and he's like this existence, and he even says to Jeffrey Combs, he's like, "We're the most powerful beings in the universe."
It's pretty great.
And then
Patheticness.
Impotence. I don't.
Well,
wanna
let's
throw
not
a lot of
judge.
shade.
Let's not judge medical conditions.
That's not.
Okay. All right. Don't throw too much shade then.
You don't want to offend your impotent listeners.
Well.
Yeah, I'm right here.
The thousands of them that we have.
So, but I feel like he's got to be pathetic, right?
I mean,
he swallows somebody and they burst out of him. That feels a little pathetic.
That's not pathetic.
Can't keep your food down. Come on.
What a loser.
Well, when Jeffrey Combs pops out of him, though, he's got a full head of hair again. That was kind of weird.
yeah, I noticed that too.
That was weird. Yeah.
It was a little
It was
weird.
like restorative.
Yeah. And no hole in his head. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
He's back to his old self.
We got him. 4 out of 4 stars out of 5. Is there anybody else that you guys want to consider for Cooter?
I mean, could we make a case for Dr. Block? I don't think she would hit that many points.
I kind of feel that way too. I was entertaining the notion though.
I don't know if it's worth going down that path.
Let me be a little controversial. How about Barbara?
Barbara definitely acts in some cootery ways. I think it's kind of the same thing as Block. Like she might hit one or two.
Even before they turn on the machine, she's so gung ho about proving her theory. She's putting these people in danger.
Yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. And that's kind of her big sin is like she's blinded, at least at first, just by her ambition and desire to, make good on the things that went wrong with her father, which is a good pathos, but is putting people in danger. So I would argue that is maybe pathetic and manipulative.
Yeah, I don't want to condemn her for being ambitious. That's max of misogyny, but putting people in danger is definitely not good.
Yeah. Sexual deviant?
I don't think it.
I don't think. The thing is, I don't think she's
really
fully
her,
in control.
is it?
She's never shown to have those impulses.
Yeah,
outwardly
and when she looks in the mirror and
until
realizes
she's exposed.
what she's done, she's very upset. So
she's not in her right mind. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smug arrogance, manipulation.
I think some. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the guy is like, we're getting out of here. Football. Bubba. I don't know. This is such an easy name.
Football.
Bubba.
He's also actually a police officer. He's not even a football player. He's used to play football.
Well, he used to play football. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's a cop.
So he says, don't turn on the machine. And even later, she's like, okay, yeah, I shouldn't have turned on the machine. So, I mean, I think that's kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
I feel like she was being manipulated in that moment. I feel like there was like an influence from the machine that was drawing her towards it, and kind of. I don't think she was in her right mind in that moment either.
I think any time that somebody is exposed to this machine,
for her to find the answers.
Well, I think to her, her ambition is to her what Pretorius's like sexual desires are to him. They're like amplified by this thing, along with the sexuality because it's a pineal gland specifically. That's kind of how I took that.
Yeah.
So I do think, I think she was at least partially responsible for that, just like Pretorius is at least partially responsible for molesting somebody as a goop monster. So I don't think that he's absolved by any means, so she shouldn't be.
So overall look and attire, I don't think so.
Well, those are some pretty big shoulder pads in the beginning. She had enormous shoulder pads.
Did she?
That's how you know she's a serious person. You know?
I mean, I have never seen bigger shoulder pads.
Well, if you want to give it to her, then we'll have to lock her up because that's 3 out of 5.
Non-controversial statement though. She looks great, even when she looks. Those fucking glasses work for me, man. Those obscenely large glasses.
It was the 80s. Great. That's what, like, my mom had glasses like. Everybody had glasses like that.
It's like the Janine from Ghostbusters. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
More glass, the better. Am I right?
Whoa, Randy. Whoa.
I love.
God, you can't see shit, and I love it.
Oh yeah, I love how blind you are. Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You're so physically flawed. Wonderful.
Get over here.
Get over here. All right.
Scorpion head ass. All right. Yeah. So we got some cooters in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a cooter
She's not the
light.
king cooter, though.
Yeah. Oh, no. Definitely.
Pretorius, I think, definitely edges out
Yeah.
Barbara.
Yeah.
She's edging on it, but yeah, Pretorius is the king,
edging?
man.
Oh, right.
I think he's solidly in Cooter territory.
Yeah.
This has we edge on it.
We edge for months.
We can't see shit. Yeah. Anybody else?
No.
I don't know. What's interesting? I don't know. It's interesting that like Jeffrey Combs' character, he doesn't really become hypersexual. He like just like has this
wants to eat
fucked
brains.
Up. All of a sudden he has a unquenchable thirst for human flesh, specifically brains and hearts.
Well, it was like super weird to me too about Barbara, where she is getting turned on, but still Bubba's fine and he's walking around, but her first inclination is to go to the comatose, passed out, bald, injured man to molest him. That's the first
I don't know.
you go.
I think like it's all like it like to me like again it's all about these are flaws that already exist in these people, and Bubba is just well adjusted, so he's able to fight that shit off more easily. Is what I took that. Yeah.
I think we got him. I think we got him.
Lock him up.
Yeah, we got him.
Get these cooters out of here.
Let's go ahead and skip over what we've been watching this week because we do have 3 voicemails we need to get to here. So let's jump over into our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. 3 voicemails this week. First up, we're hearing from our friend the librarian. Let's hear what she's got to say.
I'm back. Hi. Okay, so once again, I am hard with Soju because I have a story very similar to Soju. Do y'all remember that song on the radio like 5 years ago that sang, "So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover," right? It was by Halsey. I'll post it in the Slack when this episode drops to add context. Slack exclusive. Subscribe to the Slack guys. Subscribe to their Patreon so you can get this exclusive story. Anyway, I vividly remember thinking there was another lyric in that song where they sang, "So baby, call me daddy in the backseat of your caddy." I hear the full song, like years later, and I'm like, oh, was that like a remix I heard? Was that a guest spot that I heard? Why do I know this lyric? Come to find out, doesn't exist, and I might just be insane. Anyway, have a good one. Bye!
I was gonna say, like, hold on. There's a bye.
Chilly.
Oh my God.
Straight chilling. I mean, I'm not hip enough to have heard this song ever. So
I'm far too old for this.
Oh, really? I definitely know the song for sure, but
Well,
I don't know. Maybe if I heard it.
I'm not familiar. I mean, it definitely sounds like a line that would be in the song.
Yeah.
But
I'm not familiar with it, honestly.
Oh, really? Y'all never heard the song before at all?
I probably have.
I have not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not to my knowledge, no,
To
but
me,
it's very possible I have.
That sounds like a line from a different song. I feel like, because maybe something about that line rings a bell, but I feel like maybe it's from a different song.
Maybe.
It might be. I don't know. I'm not a big Mandela man, but
Call me daddy in the backseat
Randy,
of your
maybe that's
caddy.
because you belong to this universe, and me and the librarian. Come to daddy. You know, I mean,
come to daddy in the backseat of your caddy.
Come good daddy. Yep. That's all I can say on that.
Don't know about it. Sorry that you're able to commiserate with Soju and that you just make shit up in your brain.
Whoa,
you think it's real, but it's not.
Whoa.
I'm sorry the universe doesn't conform to your thoughts the way you anticipated. It's a real shame. I would have loved to have lived in that world.
We're all living in the librarian's world. We just don't know it.
She's everywhere.
I'm not seeing it.
God, daddy. Thanks for calling. I think we'll keep Googling, and if anybody finds any information,
let's all quietly
we'll
Google instead of talking on this audio.
Makes for great podcasting.
Respond!
No.
Thanks for calling, Librarian. Next up, we're going to hear from our friend Nicole. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Hello, Straight Chilling crew. So I have a special birthday request for you. My birthday is on February 6th, so I think I'm hitting this voicemail right at the right time. I was born in 1984, which means I am turning 40 this year, which is kind of exciting and kind of terrifying. I'm always here to embrace whatever age you are, and be bold and be excited about it, but I'm also having maybe a mini midlife crisis. But what I want to know from you guys is the year 1984, what is your favorite horror movie from 1984? A few notable ones for you, since I know you guys don't do research for this, is Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the big one. I always say that I was born the same year as Freddy Krueger, and so that's the one for me. But we also had Children of the Corn, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Firestarter. I believe Terminator came out in 1984. So, yeah, as a little birthday present to me, because I was on your podcast last year on my birthday, weigh in. What do you think is the best of 84? Thanks, guys. Stay spooky.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Nicole!
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Hell yeah.
This is a great question. This is a good year for horror.
Yeah, I was looking at the list, and there was a lot of things. My first Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a big one, but probably the one I would be most likely to rewatch again and again is maybe Gremlins. I saw Gremlins on the list just because of the seasonal. I just rewatched it for this past Christmas season. I was like, damn, that's a good flick right there. But it's, I mean, for that or Nightmare on Elm Street would be up there.
You're a very seasonally driven boy, so
of course,
makes sense.
you know me. You know me.
And in that same vein, I got a kind of a similar choice. Whereas, like, yeah, a lot of these are like, there's a lot of great movies from that year. Threads came out that year, and I have a personal affinity for that movie. Fucking Gremlins, like you said, Ghostbusters. It's, for me, Silent Night, Deadly Night is unmissable. I can't not do Silent Night, Deadly Night. I love that fucking movie. Yeah. For all its faults, for all my faults, I fucking love that shit.
Warm side of the door, Randy over here.
I live on the warm side of the door. Join me. Join me on the warm side.
Jacqueline, did you want to chime in?
Sure. Well, I know none of you are in this boat with me, in the trauma boat, but 1984 was the year of Toxic Avenger, and I do love me some Toxie.
There you go.
So I'm going to go with Toxic Avenger.
Nice choice.
I watch that, I might agree with you. I'll have to see it sometime.
Yeah,
come on over.
It's a lot of good shit on here. I think if I just had to pick one, I would have to go with Friday the 13th, Final Chapter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's extremely good.
That's a great one. Yeah. That is
nice,
like one of the
unique picks,
one of the great ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terminator being on here.
Terminator is big.
Terminator was hard to miss. Like, it's hard to say no to that one.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously I love Nightmare on Elm Street, but that almost feels like it's like too obvious to be spoken. So,
yeah. Yeah.
The Initiation is another good slasher movie that's not quite as well known, that it's worth watching, I think.
Huh.
The Mutilator came out that year, Bob.
Oh my God.
I did not
know that. I did not know that. The Mutilator fucks. Yeah, there's a lot of good shit.
Ball break.
We're going on
Ghostbusters, a good choice too.
Ghostbusters,
yeah. Blood Simple might not qualify as horror, but that came out that year. I like that movie a lot.
I still haven't seen that one. Did you guys hear about the Coen Brothers coming out with a new horror movie soon?
Yes.
Can't
we talked
wait.
about it on the Slack.
Everyone jumping on the boat these days. Horror's just the new hot thing.
Yeah. Company of Wolves came out in 1984. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. We covered it during Browvember on A Cut Above.
Yeah. Chud. It's another one.
Chud.
Night of the Comet. Another sneaky Christmas.
Christmas.
Movie?
Yeah. Some great movies. Yeah. Good year.
Yeah,
it's a good
great
vintage
year.
for horror
Great
and
year for
horror
people
commentators.
becoming alive.
Yeah.
And movies becoming...
That's the weirdest way to say that.
I have become alive.
I have become alive. That's
Yeah.
what Chucky says? I don't know. What do we do?
Well, and Nicole, since none of the fellas here can say this, I welcome you to the 40 and over club. It's okay over here.
It's okay. It's just okay.
The water's normal.
I'm not going to oversell it.
The water sure is wet over here when you're 40.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I got a ways to go, being 23 and all, but I'll get there eventually.
What I will say is, the three of us are not 40 yet, but looking at you guys in your 40s, living it up, killing the game, you give me hope. You give me hope that when I get there, I can be as cool as y'all. So good job.
I'm glad I could inspire you, Sonny.
Good job. Okay, I'm not that young. Oh, boy.
Child.
Isn't that what old people say to young people?
Little Sonny.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Just wear that backwards ball cap, Jack.
That's it.
Yeah.
20 years
The old
younger.
John Kramer.
Yep.
Thanks for calling, Nicole. Happy birthday. Hope you had a great one.
Happy birthday.
Last but not least, we're going to hear from our boy Hugh. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Yeah, Hugh calling. Last time I called in, I asked for some suggestions on some Asian horror movies, and you guys gave me a list. I got through all of those, like Incantation, The Medium, One Cut of the Dead. They were all pretty good, enjoyed them. I got to give it to Randy. Houseu or House. That movie's quirky. Really enjoyed it. That was a good movie, something different. Enjoyed your top 10 end of the year show. Always enjoy those. Get to see what you thought the movies were, and some I may have missed out on. I decided to give out my own award for the year. It's for the best comment I thought that was made during the last year. So this year, the Hugh Janus Award goes to Soju on your episode where you discussed the movie The Mist. Soju's comment where he would have psyched the old guy out and taken the last bullet for himself and just left the old guy hanging. I think that was the best comment of the year. The other thing, you guys had some few of the prompts you were asking for. You were asking about the condition of people's feet. Mine are fine, no complaints. The other thing was you were looking for names for the three chillin' boys. I got a few here. The first one might be way too simple, too easy, but you could, three names for the boys could be Michael, Jason, and Freddie. The other choice would be if you want to be a little meaner to one of the kids, you could call them 5-star, 3-star, and 1-star. Or the other choice would be the boy, Cooter, and Yabos. But other than that, I was wondering if you guys had ever seen the movie Spookies. It's a poorly done movie. Special effects are horrible. It's edited, the way it's edited, it'll give you whiplash. Can't understand the story. They threw every monster they could think of in it. It's so horrible, it's pretty excellent. That's about all I got. Keep on chilling.
You always bring in an embarrassment of riches, isn't he?
Man, if there isn't proof that old people are cool as shit, look at our boy Hugh Janus
There
right
you
there.
go.
Jesus Christ.
I like to accept this Hugh Janus Award for 2023. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Janus.
It's just
you
a
made my
gaping
night.
ass
That's
in
fine.
trophy form.
I will put it on my mantle and display it proudly. Thank you, Janus. I appreciate it.
How much of that award cost you, Soju?
Oh, man.
What happens when we find out that Justin actually has this voice modulator and he's the one calling in?
Dude, I'm not that fucking cool, man. Janus is the man. Janus keeping a streak alive every time he
Janus
calls.
is the fucking man.
Maybe Lucanus, but not my boy Janus.
Yeah. Loose. It never fails to get me.
I love that about it. Well, thank you.
fair.
Thank you, Janice. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for the award.
Man, I love when people do like backlogged prompts that I have no hope of ever remembering what the prompt actually was. We asked about people's feet. When did we do that?
Well, it was last week when the librarian smashed her toe.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. And there's always a logical explanation, but I don't keep that shit in my brain at all.
And we were talking about what would happen if somebody carried our triplets and gave birth to them, and then the names. Solid options there.
Now, I do want to give shouts outs to Caitlin. She had a great one, I think, on the Slack where she said "So Junior." That was pretty good.
That's it.
It's pretty
That's
good.
I like the idea of ranking
all
your
three of
children
them
and having one of them called one star.
Yeah, you know you have a favorite.
One star.
You know,
Get over here,
you
one
always
star.
have a favorite.
You're embarrassing
and
your
a least
mother.
favorite.
My one star child.
It's like that Iron Claw movie. Like fucking dad in that movie is like, now you know that Michael's my favorite and Jeffrey's my second favorite and you're the third, but the rankings can change now. I love that shit so much. It's so fucked up.
Well, you know,
puts it all right out there. Calling one of your children the boy. This is the boy.
This is my boy. Shaboy. This is Shaboy.
This is my child, Cooter.
This is So Junior, Shaboy, and
Dude, that
Stains
might be real in
our
some
boys.
states. My boy Cooter, Bob.
Cooter chilling.
Cooter, Bob.
Actually, Cooter.
I love that name.
That probably is actually some folks' name.
Somewhere
Cooter's
out
a name.
there.
If you listen to our show and your name is Cooter first or last or middle, please call
and defend yourself against our slander. I would love to hear from you.
Please call in. We need to know. Glad you enjoyed all the recommendations we threw your way, Hugh. Putting in the work, man. Watching a lot
that's
of
a lot
stuff.
of movies to work through. House Sue, man, I'll never not sing its praises. It's a totally individual film that you cannot replicate.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Top tier.
Weird as shit. Thanks for calling, Hugh. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Please do call
As
in
always.
again, folks. 904-638-3231. Does anybody have any prompts they want to throw out there for next week?
Oh, man.
Valentine's Day coming up.
Yeah, I think we've done this before. I actually was thinking about this earlier. Have you just had a terrible Valentine's Day? I want to hear about it. Did just some shit go down where just everything went wrong, or you gone on like a first date, or I think somebody called in one time and said they were meeting someone for the first time and didn't realize it was Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah,
and it
sounds
just
right.
it spiraled out of control from there. I don't remember what. Yeah. Was it the library? Somebody cooked something for somebody and it was raw and they got sick and they were like puking everywhere. So I have to go back to the old logs. That sounds like an old call-in. But call in with some crazy stories like that, please.
Yeah.
Have you ever been eating a strawberry out of someone's anus just to realize it was load-bearing too late?
To realize
Speaking
it was
of
load bearing.
a load bearing berry.
Bearing the load. You don't want to move that one. It's a load bearing berry.
It was plugging the shit.
I love these chocolate strawberries. That ain't chocolate, friend.
Oh god damn.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is the pinnacle of my life here, me being on the show right now. This is it. Peak.
Your encouragement is maybe
life
ill-founded, but it's very much
experience.
appreciated.
That's one of them load bearing berries. Don't eat that one.
Ooh,
So glad I can be a part of this.
God damn.
Get the one to the right.
Oh, well, how many are in there at once?
Depends.
How many?
Depends.
God damn.
At what point of the night is it?
You start with one and you work your way. God damn. Yeah, call in with some Valentine's Day stories. Even if you got a good one, call in. Let us know if you got a good one.
Sure,
yeah.
but really the bad ones.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness. 904-638-3231. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show, as always. We're going to be tackling a classic, finally coming around to Shaun of the Dead.
Ooh. I am every fucking week for like 10 years. It's been like, we got to do Shaun of the Dead one day.
Yeah.
It was an early episode, though, right?
I don't think we've ever done it.
Really?
No, it always does. We were always like kind of saving it, and it's been 10 years.
The impression that it was. Oh, okay, yeah, man, long time coming.
It's not in the file,
but it will be in the file.
It will be soon enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Shaun of the Dead if you haven't. We'll be talking about that next week. Jacqueline, thank you so much for sitting in with us. It was really a pleasure. Sexual.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. It was a blast. I've been like, I never thought this day would come.
I'm glad we could make it happen. Definitely we'll have you back on again. Thank you so much for just participating in our Slack channel and our community, and also for making a great show yourself. And please do remind everybody one more time about your podcast, where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks. We're A Cut Above Horror Review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places. We're on all the socials, etc. We're getting ready to celebrate Women in Horror Month. So every week in the month of February, we've got films related to feminine themes or made by female creators. Have lots of awesome female guest hosts coming on each week. So it's going to be a really good month. So
rad.
Come find us.
Hell yeah. Check out A Cut Above, everywhere you get your podcast. Watch Shaun of the Dead. Again, if you guys want to join our Slack channel, just hit us up on one of our social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. We're everywhere. Just look for Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll pop right up. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
It's Barbara.